What's going on YouTube? I'm your West host, and today I want to talk about some of the new teams that are going to be going through the Legendary Goku event. The first one I'm going to start with today is going to be the Malevolent Bloodline. It's the one I think is going to be definitely the hardest, so I want to kind of go through some of your options. I'm someone that loves the Legendary Goku event. It's my favorite thing in Dokkan. I probably do it about once a day, just kind of going through different teams. I have no item free to play. I'm trying to no item super tech. I think I can no item free play super tech when some more stuff comes out down the pipe. I just kind of waiting like one or two more units that are going to be really clutch. But that being said, let's go ahead and get started here. I want to talk about some of the units you can bring with this category. This is probably going to be, in my opinion, one of the hardest categories to build for this. I don't have some of the units, that I think are going to be necessary. I'm not sure a lot of players do. So let's kind of talk about some of your options. I'm also used to doing the Legendary Goku event with no items. So when you use items, it makes it a little bit easier, I recognize. So some of the stuff I'm going to say is going to be a little bit drastic probably, and I think a lot more people are going to be able to get through it than I'm really giving credit for. So that being said, let's go ahead and hop in. So the first units on this page, which is the Dokkan Battle Wiki, which is fantastic, are the leaders. So AGL Metal Cooler, who I really like. I know he's kind of faded out a little bit as time has gone on, because his defensive value was not as high, and his offensive value, while good, is not, the exceptional level that a lot of other Dokkan Fest units are. And there is a fantastic support type Metal Cooler that came out and sort of replaced this one, but he's still amazing. I highly recommend, if you don't have STR Cooler, bring AGL Metal Cooler as your lead. And if not, Tech Transforming Frieza, which we'll talk about in a sec, is a good option. So he's good. He builds up attack with every attack received. If he gets hit, he does recover 7% HP, which is important, and he has a giant form. That's important. A giant form is free damage, and this unit, if I'm not mistaken, builds up a chance to crit, or maybe I am mistaken on that. I don't know where that came from, but his giant form is really good. It does pretty decent damage. If you have any dupes in him, you can get things like additionals and crits. So the giant form is very helpful, the core form, for the Legendary Goku event, especially considering he's healing HP every turn he gets hit, meaning that you're not going to get that core until the fight gets really difficult, which is important. So he's definitely a good unit to use. Also, I recommend bringing these two. We'll go ahead and pop them up real quick. I'm not going to be able to spend too much time, unfortunately. I do have a Zoom call to get to here in a minute, but this unit is really good. Their defensive value is not the greatest out there, but they'll probably sit at about 100k on this team. So that's good enough. You're not going to take double digits from the last three phases, because you're definitely going to get hit by AGL Blue Goku, but it's enough that they can be an off-rotation unit. And they hit definitely hard enough to be considered a good off-rotation unit. Unfortunately, they're not going to get this key +9 in the later forms of the fight. I think they'll get it up through Blue Goku, and then they're going to lose that 9 key, which is unfortunate. But their link set is fantastic. They hit like a freight train, and definitely a good option to use as an off-rotation unit if you can pick them up. I have mine at 90% because Global does not, unfortunately, have them available for 100%, but they're definitely a good option. One I don't recommend bringing is LR Metal Cooler, because he gets his defensive boost dependent on the amount of HP you have, and as you know, in the later stages of the event, you're going to be pretty low on HP a lot of the time. So highly recommend leaving him at home. And same goes for the STR First Form Frieza, not because he's bad defensively, he's fine, he's not great, but because there's a better version of him. Now, LR Full Power Frieza and Dokkan Fest Physical Full Power Frieza are both decent options throughout the event. STR has the problem where it's never going to be at type advantage throughout the majority of the fight, except for the first stage, which is very easy. However, his defensive value is pretty decent. He sits a lot of time at around 100k at Rainbow, if I'm not mistaken. Physical Full Power Frieza is not good defensively. However, the last stage is an N-type unit, so if you can kind of baby him and maybe keep him off rotation and protected during the STR phase. I think in the int phase he'll be doing fairly decent. He's not going to take double digits or quadruple digits. He's probably going to be taking around 15k per normal attack. But because of type advantage, he will cut down the amount he'll be taking on super attack, which is important. Let's talk more about some of these other TURs. This AGL Final Form Frieza I would leave. Definitely bring Metal Cooler. This Final Form Cooler you can leave. This First Form Cooler you can leave. This AGL Frieza is great. He's better on JP thanks to his Extreme Z Awakening. The issue is he's going to lose all of his damage mitigation under 50% HP or on JP 40% HP. So I really don't recommend bringing him into the later events unless you're able to really ensure that the rotations he's on are going to be above that HP threshold. That's the important thing. Tech Golden Cooler is a good support unit, but not good here. Tech First Form Frieza, the transforming one, is fantastic if and only if you reverse him. At his pre-Dokkan Awakened state, he infinitely stacks attack and defense, which is really crucial if you don't have the best team. In his, unfortunately, Dokkan Awakened form, while his attack prowess is good and his healing is much better, defensively he will struggle. So what I recommend doing is, there's a phrase I like to use in the Legendary Goku event, which is, when in doubt, go slow. So if this reversed Frieza, if you can miss super attacks for a lot of units in the early stages that don't stack, you can allow Frieza to build up that defensive value. By the time you get to STR UI Goku, you're really going to want Frieza to be at least 200k defense. STR UI Goku will go a little slower automatically, which will hopefully put you in that 280 to 300k defense going up against Int UI Goku. That'll allow him to not get super clobbered by normal attacks, and super attacks will still do tremendous amounts of damage, but will not one-shot you, especially if you have items active. They'll actually doing really well. So I recommend reversing him. Tech Golden Frieza performs fairly well in this event. His damage mitigation does reduce to 50% when under that 50% HP threshold, but in combination with another item, he's going to be doing fine. And he does have some really good offensive prowess. This Int Golden Frieza, when he's awoken, is very decent. These two units, leave AGL Golden Frieza alone. Don't bring him. Int Metal Cooler is okay. Not great for this event, in my opinion. His defensive value is just not high enough. If you baby him, he could be good, but you want to be careful with how many different units you're kind of keeping as your protected unit in that event. STR Final Form Cooler, I'm not going to spend too much time on. He's amazing in everything he's in. He's just really good. I recommend running Metal Cooler AGL and then running STR Cooler as your two leads. So either of those, or do one of each, whichever one floats your boat. I'd prefer to have two STR Coolers. I don't have him, so I am going to be trying to use it with the AGL Metal Cooler, but definitely a fantastic option. This EZA Second Form Frieza is okay. I would not recommend bringing him. Same goes to the movie bosses category support. The GT Angel Final Form Frieza is okay. Physical Final Form Cooler can be really good, but once again, you're going to have to protect him against STR UI Goku. Same thing with him. But against Int UI Goku, I think his defense and type advantage are going to be very nice. So I really recommend bringing him. He's a great option. As we move on into the SSRs, it's going to sound weird, but there's an SSR that I love for this event, which is this fourth form, final form cooler. So if you look at him, I really like him for this event because he does infinitely raise defense. He's a support type unit for Terrifying Conquerors, which is important because most Malevolent Bloodline or Wicked Bloodline category units are going to be on Terrifying Conquerors, which is very helpful. The issue is he shares the same name with STR, or STR Cooler, I guess. Excuse me. And that's one of the best units in the game. So if you don't have STR Cooler like I do, you're going to want to bring this guy, which is what I'm going to do. And if you're going to bring him, once again, when in doubt, go very slow. Do not rush this event if you have a unit that is especially type disadvantaged, free to play and stacking. You want to give them as much time as you possibly can. His defensive value is going to be very low at the start. He's only getting a domestic 70% with SSR stats, meaning at Rainbow, that's his this is his defense, which is atrocious. 6,000 is bottom of the barrel. I mean, you could do the math on that one. 70% of 6,000 is what? Let's call it 4,000-ish, 4,500, which is going to put him after his passive at 10k plus the leader skill boost. So he's going to be sitting somewhere around 28 to 30k defense in the beginning of the fight. And while he can get there, you want to look at this guy who I mentioned earlier using as an option. His defense is 9,000, which is going to be much higher, especially considering he gets a 60k start a turn, so it's very similar to the other one. And if you run him on rotation with the other cooler, that's going to jump up to a 90k domestic defense. Or 90%, sorry, not 90k. Domestic defense. So you want to really baby this guy if you're going to bring him. He's a good option. I have done it before, but be very careful with how you play with him. Moving further along, it's just fodder units after this. No one really worth noting. These two could be great if they ever wanted to Dokkan Awaken them, but unfortunately it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. And then as we get in the Ssrs, I mean, there's nothing. I would love an Awakening for the Super Strike units. Chilled could be pretty decent with an Awakening. These two really could be, but unfortunately as it stands now, I don't see anyone, you'd want to bring. So hopefully this helps. This is going to be definitely the most difficult, and if I seem like I'm really down on this team, it's because this team is not good. Not good for this event. It's a fantastic team. It is not good for long-form events like this or Infinite Dragon Ball History, which we're going to get a couple new stages coming pretty soon. So if you have any questions about team building, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll be trying getting back to this. The Legendary Goku event is an event that I feel pretty confident on. I have run it a myriad of times, probably more than most anybody else. It's not a YouTuber, honestly. I have a lot of fun kind of running those long form events, so I've cranked it out more than a couple times. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But like we always say here on the channel, I hope to see you around sometime.